If you feel the need to be more social despite the fact that your mind is trying to play all of these games on you, trying to keep you shy, trying to use the social anxiety to keep you reserved and invisible basically, then I truly believe you are meant to be socially confident. You are born confident, and then something happened along the way that changed the course of your life and directed you towards a place of shyness. So you learned to be shy and you forgot to be socially confident. And what we need to do is to make you unlearn shyness and remember social confidence. Now, this state is actually not as far away as you might think. And the way to get to social confidence is pretty easy actually, and the framework I'm going to present to you through this video is going to get you to the exact point we talked about. Now, the first step of this framework is to acknowledge exactly what you are afraid of. You have to understand that when you feel this weird tension and social pressure, you are actually afraid of a potential outcome. Your mind is basically imagining all of these possible scenarios, and there are certain social scenarios that would trigger you and that would make you feel like everything is incredibly embarrassing, the world is just crumbling upon you and everything is ending. In fact, you consciously know that's not possible and that's not the case, but your ego just wants you to believe that because your ego cares about your image a lot. Your ego wants you to be perfect. This is how the ego works, basically. And because your ego has such a tight grip on you, it just controls you and tries to make you optimize everything in order to avoid a certain situation. And the best way to avoid such a situation is to not even engage in activities that are the slightest bit close to that potential rejection or embarrassment or judgment. And the best way to figure out what you're actually afraid of is, in my opinion, to do journaling. So after every single social encounter you go through in the following days, I want you to take out your phone and to start writing your feelings down in your phone's notes app. Try to analyze the way you're feeling, because if you do it as soon as possible after the social interactions, you have some very powerful and fresh insights that are going to help you understand your subconscious better and basically everything that you're afraid of. Because currently you just feel some weird social anxiety and perhaps you don't even know why it's there. And through this introspection, through just iterating every single day on it, you will just realize that there are certain situations where it occurs more frequently. And what you should do is to ask yourself, what actual fear, like what situation am I actually afraid of that's behind this weird feeling of tension and anxiety? Perhaps what you'll find is that you're afraid of talking to strangers, or talking to big groups, or never being in the center of attention, or saying a joke and no one laughing at your joke. Perhaps you're afraid of some person's judgment, a specific person's judgment. What you should do once you manage to find out this fear is to write it down as exaggerated as possible. So for example, let's say you're afraid of a friend of yours' judgment. What you should write down in this case is, I am literally changing my entire behavior because I am afraid of some vague thing I'm gonna feel inside of me that I can't even describe in a very unlikely situation where a person I don't even care about whatsoever is gonna say something about me. And basically nothing's gonna change anyway in the entire course of history and even in my own life. That event is gonna change absolutely nothing, but still I'm going to change my entire behavior just to avoid that 0.001% possibility. Exaggerate it like this, because when you do so, you take its power away from you a bit, because now it seems quite funny and dumb, doesn't it? There is a small chance that event is gonna happen, but we can't rule it out completely. And there's nothing you can do to rule it out completely anyway. Like, even you being invisible and just trying to be shy and to not talk to anyone, to not expose yourself to dangerous situations, there is still a chance that's gonna happen, so you can't rule it out completely. So then, why not go towards it? You've been trying to run away from that situation for so long, but like, what if you just take some courage and go towards it? And the way to do this is the next step of our framework, and that is to alter your perception, to literally change your perception, because currently you thinking about such a possibility, about that devastating event, you can just imagine a horrifying experience that you just want to forget as soon as possible. But what if you turn that horrifying experience into something funny? What if you literally change the way you look at it and understand that it's a very dumb fear that you have? It's something so dumb that, like, you are just holding yourself back. You are altering your character, you are becoming inauthentic just for that slight possibility. Learn to laugh at it, learn to look at it with amusement, with fun, with humor. Why does it have to be something so horrifying? Like nothing's gonna happen to you anyway. Just acknowledge it. I'm gonna feel some like weird negativity in the moment. That's literally all that's gonna happen. Is it worth it for me to completely change my behavior for that? Absolutely not. So then what's stopping you from striving to go through such a situation even more often, to actively seek experiencing that situation, that embarrassment? Because who says it has to be embarrassing? Literally, who says a certain situation is embarrassing or cringe or awkward? You do. You dictate how the other people perceive that situation. So if you expect it to be cringe, it's gonna be cringe. If you consider it to be awkward, it's gonna be awkward. But if you don't, it's not gonna be awkward. That's why your charismatic friends embarrass themselves so often and they get away with it so easily. Because they don't perceive it as being something embarrassing, they perceive it as being something fun. And you do have it in you as well. If you manage to laugh at such situations, you are basically invincible. You are not a slave to that possibility anymore. You don't have to think about weird ways to handle the situation, to manage it, to avoid it, to optimize your behavior and your looks. You can just be yourself and just go ahead and have fun. Go ahead and laugh at it. Go ahead and make jokes about it. If you have fun about it, if you manage to turn that fun vibe on, then you're invincible. Nothing can affect you anymore. You choose whether it's awkward or not. Remember this, always remember this. It's you who dictates the vibe, it's you who dictates what a certain situation is actually like. The last component here is repetition and iteration. You have to go through this over and over and over again every single day and try to actively seek these situations intentionally every single day, as I said. Because you have to understand there is basically like a hurt child inside of you. And that hurt child just senses the danger, the potential danger in all of these situations. We could call it the ego, we could call it a hurt child, whatever. But the idea is that that hurt child perceives such situations as being extremely dangerous, life-threatening even. Despite the fact that you consciously know they are not life-threatening, a part of your brain does. And that's all that matters. We have to just teach that part of our brain, that part of your brain, that there is actually no danger. And after enough iteration, you will just understand and your beliefs will change. Even your self-image will change when you truly understand, when the click is made. There is nothing to be afraid of. There is no reason for you to alter your behavior in such a huge and massive way. And when you convince that hurt child that there is nothing to be afraid of anymore, then you're free. That's it. Now, an obstacle you might encounter here is if you're a perfectionist. If you are a perfectionist, then it's going to be very hard for you to accept the fact that some other people might see you struggling or failing. But then again, you can just use the same framework. Why do you have to label it as failing? Why do you have to label it as embarrassment? You choose how you label it. The other people just respond and react to how you set the tone. It's your choice to consider it something embarrassing, something so weird and awkward. If you choose to have fun about it, if you choose to see it as just potentially even progress, right? Part of the journey. Not necessarily laughing about it, but even seeing it like this is a step, this is the second step out of this like 5-step journey I'm on. And it's an intermediary stage that I'm going through, but I'm not gonna be like this forever. I'm not gonna be embarrassing forever. There are so many ways you can just alter your perception because truthfully, nothing is black or white. There are a lot of shades of gray and you have to leverage that for yourself. Because unless you do it, your mind is just prone to playing so many tricks on you. Your ego wants you to be perfect and you can never be perfect. There are all of these weird situations and you just end up being inauthentic and being so reserved and isolated as well. It's not a very nice experience. This framework is guaranteed to turn on your social confidence if you really take it seriously, if you really go through it properly. Now, if you're interested in seeing more short form content very similar to this video you've watched right now, you can find me on Instagram, I link it in the description. And if you're interested in making the quickest progress you can from a point of social anxiety to a point of social confidence, I have a link in the description, the second link, where I made a course designed to help you go through that exact journey. It's something quite similar to what we talked about in this video, but of course it's in a lot more detail, it covers a lot more situations, and you basically learn everything you need in order to make that change. You'll also find a step-by-step protocol that you can just follow along every single day with a timetable, absolutely everything you need. The only thing left, the only piece of the puzzle left is your intention and your action taking. So go ahead, check it out if you're interested, and see you next time.